How can I do a better job of serving today than I did yesterday, this year than last? As long as I can keep answering that question, I will continue to grow and mature as a person, and I'll never grow old in mind and spirit.
Yeah, yeah. A star is born every second at the same time. The beggar prays for life lessons. The only difference is the question. Now the day spent stressing. I see both sides of the coin. The grass is green up with your boy. Ahoy, your absal, these sound waves. I'm just an nature. What's my choice? I'm with the creator. Never major, rewarded with the paper. Cause I value myself, that's true wealth. Do it for yourself, DIY. Feel the joy as you're fully in the vibe. Higher than heights, no bounds. Impossible is nothing. We're the ground, proud. Follow the energy, look at the energy, see the light, cause in the mirror, there's no enemy. Don't pedigree, train and maintain your individuality mentally, cause you can do whatever you want, believe. Work on yourself full time, everything else is part time. Do or die, this is your life. Work on yourself full time, everything else is part time. Do or die, this is your life. Work on yourself full time, everything else is part time. Do or die, this is your life. Work on yourself full time, everything else is a ball. It's a ball. Do your thing, stop. Oh, I get it right. Yeah, they always full-time work as well. Find a purpose, making it nervous, kicking it up to the surface to react. Hey, yo, we on the map, talking the facts, blowing smoke, levels I contact. Tell the devil, I'll meet him in hell with a shot. Another burial, more safe, living it art material. In a fast pace, Mars, wicked and broad day for the airplay full. Money never for fame, new releases. Our gallery of art, masterpieces. Italiano margaritas, mafioso, blow the speakers. Rents the meters because we funky fuck unbelievers. Trash talks, cash flows, fuck a platform to a stage, dipping them back, keeping your hands on whatever. It's now or never, brothers are fed up. It ain't the game to survive, so you better work on yourself full time. Everything else is part time. Do or die, this is your life. Work on yourself full time. Everything else is part time. Do or die, this is your life. Work on yourself full time. Everything else is part time. Do or die, this is your life. Work on yourself full time. Everything else is a ball. It's a ball. Do your thing, stop.
Work on yourself full time, cause everything else is part time. And that's why players are called line. And that's why all I can give you is more time. It's combined with me, myself, and the most. I remember when it was cool to be reading them books. That's why when I step in stores, they give me them looks. But my knowledge of self, say fuck what they think. Can I be young, black and proud without going to gym? Skinny as him, but when I pray, I check from within. You know that we got the answers here, with dresses as king. Queen still land where people's expecting events. You ain't got shit for you, baby. You checking your text. Watching TV screens through the easy, that's the effect. Weak in the chest, weak in the soul, but strong in the crepes. You ain't got nowhere to go, baby. Wrong side of the fence. Wrong life for your life, wrong type of progress. Go, 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 go.
Work on yourself full time. Everything else is part time. Do or die, this is your life. Work on yourself full time. Everything else is part time. Do or die, this is your life. Work on yourself full time. Everything else is part time. Do or die, this is your life. Work on yourself full time. Everything else is a ball. It's a ball. Do your thing, stop.
Word, man. Shout out to Copper Hot Step, man. Yo, this is the live interview with your man Jaguar coming to you live and direct. Like I said, once again, we got Mr. Copper Hot Step, man, from the UK joining us for a nice interview, man. Shout out to him for bringing this track through by Jungle Brown. Of course, if you like the vibe, subscribe to it. You know, the flow is real. I'm with it. You know, as you about to see, I'm about to subscribe myself because I like the music. So there you have it, folks. And Copper Hot, man, what's up, big bro?
Yeah, good man. It feels good to be home, bro. I can't even lie.
Word, man, word. So you know, if you want to, man, we can get right into it. You know, everybody probably tensing up, waiting to see. If you want to, man, just share pretty much you know, your background, how you know, stay so studious, how you able to, you know, keep yourself as a man going, and what actually, you know, keeps you driving to teach the information that you do, man. So I'm just gonna mute my mic, and you know, whenever I feel, you know, I got a question or whatever, I'll just jump in. But I'm gonna let you rock it out, man. Just kind of let the people know, you know, tell them what it is, bro.
All right. Yeah, what's good, people? For those of you that don't know me, I'm Copper Hot Step. As you can probably hear, I'm from the UK by means of I was born here, I was raised here, I've predominantly always lived here, and yeah, so I suppose for me starting out, my story was basically my parents are from the Caribbean, the West Indies, Central America. Um, and what happened was is that a lot of people from the Caribbean, from Central America, they uh, they came here in mass because most of the economies out there were crippled by the British Crown, and a lot of people had to get up and go, and the only choices were really North America or England to kind of escape the financial depressions. And so many of us ended up coming over here. And this would have actually been around the 1940s, the back end of the 1940s. You had something called the Windrush in 1948, and this was the first predominant ship which carried a lot of people from Jamaica, Trinidad,
Can
and
you
so
repeat
forth.
that one more time, bro? What ship did you say?
The ship was called the Windrush.
Okay.
So the Windrush. So the people that came off that first boat are known as the Windrush generation, and they basically traveled all the way from Central America to somewhere in England called Tilbury, which is where the ship docked, and they basically came here for a better life to do better for themselves and their families. What happened was, in fact, a lot of the adults came and they couldn't bring their families together with them at the same time. A lot of people got left behind, and what happened is a lot of people had to come here first, then they had to struggle, and they had to really grind and dig deep and put money aside to be able to actually pay for the rest of their family to come over here after a set period of time. And so for me now, my granddad is where my generation of people started off. So I'm third generation. So he was the first to come here and settle. Then he actually had to grind. He actually worked for Ford. He worked in a Ford manufacturing plant in England here in London, and he had to save up, and then he paid for the rest of my family to come over here. So he came first, and then they came after, and then that's how my mom ended up here. And then subsequently, I was born, you know, and yeah, so this would have been like the 1990s when I was born. So um, we always had a strong affiliation with, you know, the emerging pro-black or pan-African way of thinking, or what was being taught around that time period. You know, I always grew up knowing that you know, slavery was a real thing, and yeah, we were just very heavy into like the Marcus Garvey and stuff like that. It was really, really big. I think, yeah, I would probably say 1990s where it all really started to kick off here in England. I mean, my mum had already been exposed to Roots, because basically Roots aired over here in the 70s. They were showing it on TV here in the 70s. And that's how we got introduced to that concept of slavery being a real thing when we first watched the American TV series of Roots when it aired over here in Britain and England. That's how really people started to identify with Africa in terms of living and growing up in England. And then we decided, as time went on, we wanted to reconnect more with that side of things, and we actually ended up going to so-called Africa like 3 times. I still remember as a young man, I went out there to Tunisia in North Africa once, and we went out to the Gambia in West Africa twice. It was meant to be to go and actually witness and take part in the so-called Kunta Kinte trail, and it's supposed to be the real trail that he walked or was forced to take from his village to the shore where the boat allegedly took him away. And so we've done all of that. I mean, while I was out there in the Gambia, we used to interact with the locals and take part in some of their ceremonies, and I even ended up doing something with my dad where basically you go off into the outback with the men of one of the tribes, and then you spend time with them, and then they just basically teach you about their ways and stuff like that, and then you actually get taught a dance that is indigenous to their tribe, and by nightfall you have to then perform this dance, this ritual back to a whole entire crowd of tourists and locals and the president of the country. It's the weirdest thing, dancing in front of like a president of a country and you're like 7, 8 years old. It's, I don't know, it's really weird, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie, but I did it, and it was bad because I was like on national TV out there the following day. But yeah, we've been out over there because that's what we wholeheartedly believed in. We truly believed that at some point, somehow, some way, that's where our story started. So we made a big effort to not just to try and pretend about it. We decided to be about it, like to go out there and actually experience what the locals experience. And it's actually really interesting when you fast forward now and people are saying to you that Caucasians are the original Africans. Because if you go to Tunisia, there is actually there's a province called Matmata, and basically in this place you have an official troglodyte community of people where they actually carve homes into the caves of the mountains and live inside of them, and you can actually go out there and go into these homes and visit them and talk to them. But yeah, they live in caves.
Hold up, bro. Wait a minute. Okay, because you already know now. You use the old term that a lot of Americans might not know what that term is. You said troglodyte, right?
Yeah.
Okay, can you explain what a troglodyte is for the people? Because I know what it is, but I'm glad you used that term because this is a known term.
Right. Yeah. So troglodyte in the basic sense is it's literally a person who inhabits a cave interior as their place of sanctity, their place of shelter.
And then boom, you said that they are in the Tunisia, in the mountain areas.
Yeah, they live in the mountainous regions of Tunisia, and it's just literally a whole range of mountains, open space, and like mountain range, and then they carve their homes into those mountains. They carve cave homes into the mountains and then live within them.
Okay, so all right, now how could you like, was it a big population or was it just a few? Like
it's in contrast to the rest of the actual nation, it's a select few, because you don't have the rest of the people of the landmass that live that way. It's just these people still remain in that capacity.
Okay. We'll continue on, bro. I ain't mean to cut you off. I just really
that's fine.
I just wanted you to go in on that a little bit because I never heard of that. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that's just something interesting to know, man, because this thing has been flipped around, like you said, to travel over there, and how you I mean, man, a lot of us here, a lot of us that even have these panels, bro, haven't even been to Africa. So, you know, I mean, for you say it seems you've been a good, at least a couple of times, man. So
Yeah.
continue on with that if you don't mind, man.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
ain't trying to, yeah, just go ahead.
No, that's fine. Yeah. So Tunisia is in North Africa. Predominantly your main phenotype out there would be your so-called, Caucasoid Arab people. They make up the main populace of North Africa in general. So it would be the same for, your Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, these type of places. But then obviously West Africa now, where I went to the Gambia, this is your more what people will call black, so-called black or Negro people. And so naturally you have a difference of culture there within Tunisia compared to the Gambia. But it was interesting. It was interesting to go to Tunisia and to actually witness people that live that lifestyle still to this very day. And then on top of that, it was refreshing to go to the Gambia and see the differences there as well. I mean, one thing that did always stick in my mind to this very day. Actually, the second time we went to the Gambia, because I've been twice, I would have been a little bit older that time, like, young teenage years. And my sister would have been a little bit older. There's a 7-year gap between us. And we was out on the beach, like me, sister, parents, and me and my sister have gone off a little bit away from our parents, like to get closer to the water. And we were kind of just walking and talking. And then one of the locals must have spotted us, and he came over to us to have a conversation. And then he must have overheard us talking. So then obviously he's heard my accent, he's heard my sister's accent. But the first question he proposed to ask me was, "Are you American?" So I was confused. So I said to him, "No." So he said, "Oh, where are you from?" So I said, "Oh, we're from England." And then he said, "Oh, England, okay, yes, I like England." And then he started asking me about what English football team do I support. And we started talking about that a little bit. But then I remember always, I don't know why I just remembered it, but I think I was meant to remember it, because now it's like, obviously now it is obvious to me when he asked that question, he's not asking me based on how my voice sounds. He's asking me based on how I look.
Right.
Because my accent clearly doesn't ring from anywhere, any state that you can find in North America. So I just find little things like that interesting from the trip that I had that I wasn't able to analyze properly back then, that I'm able to reflect and I'm able to look back on now. So it's like, even then, it's like, they clearly understand that whatever accent you ended up having for whatever reasons, they can tell who is who and who is related to who and who isn't.
That's right.
It's the point I try to stress, and I try to point out with people, is that sometimes you have to give people more credit than what you'd like. Just because you may be ignorant to certain information doesn't mean that the next man isn't. He's probably well versed in your history to some degree. And until you sit down and ask him certain questions that he's not used to being asked, then you'll never know for certain.
That's right.
And going out to Africa was an experience. It was all done under, it was done within good intentions, because as I said, it's like we genuinely felt like that's who we was in some aspect, and so kind of just carried on through life under that same train of thought. You reading all the Pan-African books and textbooks and stuff like that. And then, it just happened to come to last year even. So I've not known what I know long. I really haven't. Like summer last year, I just happened to come across Darkman's channel. Just, I don't know, it seemed like, I don't want to say divine intervention, but maybe ancestral intervention. Because he just popped up. Like, I used to be subscribed to a lot of, Pan-African YouTubers, not the heavy predominant ones, but maybe, your B-list ones.
Yeah.
And his channel just popped up in my recommended section just out of nowhere, and it was a video about the truth about Jamaica, and obviously with a title like that, I had to click it and watch it. And it was weird because after I got done listening to that video, everything he mentioned I'd never heard before, but I just knew when I heard it and the video was done that he was telling the truth. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like a weird feeling. It's like, it's like a low blow, you know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's such a surreal feeling when you hear this from the first time from one of your own people. And yeah, it just kind of knocked me a bit. Like I knew it was true, but I didn't know how to really feel about it, because it's like, obviously that's that's not what they're teaching in school. That's not what's in the films. That's not what's on the TV shows. And it was just crazy for me. And I just thought straight away, okay, I have to go away and start looking into this. There must be more, because I come across one or two memes on Instagram. I had an Instagram account, like, just the social one. Like
Yeah.
nothing in terms of passing on information or nothing. And I saw one or two memes about, people from America really being Indian, stuff like that. And it did pique my curiosity a little bit. Because it's like, wow, because me, I'm just an open person when it comes to information. And I think that's what's helped me.
Right. Right.
Because most people would see that stuff and just be like, oh, that's rubbish, or, oh, that's a bunch of foolishness. But for me, it's like, wow, that's weird. Like, why would somebody make that? Do you know what I mean? And post that on social media. So my interest was already now, get to the point of I need to start looking forward. So I made sure I subscribed to him, started catching all of his videos, just started trying to digest all the information properly. And then from there, I started branching out to other channels, other people that were putting out the same information. I was looking at people on Instagram like Johnny Aborigine, people of that caliber. And then, like, yeah, after like 2 or 3 videos, it just started to click. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, things were just becoming a lot more clearer. And I was able to go back to my mum after a while, after a few months of digesting that information. And then I was able to start asking her questions to try and sync what I'd learned with my own personal experience through family lineage. And then, I asked her, okay, so mum, I have the craziest thing to tell you, but we're not from Africa, right? And it's just like, oh, well, what do you mean? What makes you say that? So I remember sitting down and explaining to her and my sister, like, everything that I've learned, and like they've always been supportive. So they understood that for me to come and address them with the information, then obviously, I have no reason to just pull this out of thin air, and I must have gone away and,
Right.
spent some time on it. So they were very receptive to it, and they said, well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I asked my mom, okay, so how did we find out about being African? I mean, did your dad ever tell you about that?
Yeah.
And she was like, no, he didn't. I found that out from Roots. So I found out very quickly how we became African. It wasn't very hard.
Yo, hey, but hey, this is what this right here, what you just said. This is the effect that movie put on, I would say, 90% of our people, bro.
Yeah.
Up, man. I'm talking about across the terrain. You know what I'm saying? Wherever that movie went, that movie played an effect on our people, man. And now, we understand that, when I used to go in some of my some of my people houses that would have a lot of these old books and stuff. And they would say, like, you want to make sure you know your history now. You know what I'm saying? Because they would always tell me, hey, we don't know nobody from Africa. You know what I'm saying? Because I presented it to them. You know, it's major, man. That movie, and even still to this day, people will reference that movie to say that they are from Africa, man. And for you to say that, and hey, that's a home run. Like that's major, man. But I'm glad you was able to, get the info, man, and share it with your fam, man, because that's exactly what we trying to do and what we promoting the most. You know what I'm saying? YouTube is fine and dandy, but hey, you gonna get with the real big dogs when you're really doing it with your family. You know what I'm saying? Because it's gonna be felt and it's gonna be noticed, and the right people are gonna find out. So the favor is in our hands, people. It's a spiritual time right now. You know what I'm saying? And y'all see, it's more to just this land of our, when it come to our people. You know what I'm saying? We do have people that are like us or who are us. You know what I'm saying? Whether they are, hey, he just told you, granddad straight from America. You know what I'm saying? What else is there else to say? I mean, now everybody else in on this, on this planet, not probably gonna be able to say that, but I mean, even if they can't, if they really for progressing our people and really trying to help better the cause to giving people the ability to do better and be better, I'm all for you and I'm gonna connect with you, man. So that right there was deep, yo. You know what I'm saying? For you to be way in the UK and roots have an effect on some people, man. I mean, it just says a lot, man. It does, man. It really does.
Yeah, yeah. It was how can I say it? It was a master plan to stay inside the mind so that wherever the American travels, the lie would travel with them.
That's right.
And
Right.
yeah, so yeah, she just when I started getting into it with her, then she was like, yeah, we learned about being African from white people, not from Africans. So yeah, that makes sense that they'd be lying. And that's just the truth of the situation. We can't really make it any other kind of way because to be honest with you, we were the first wave of so-called migrants of any species of people other than indigenous English people to actually come to these shores and to build up this economy and this way of life here. Because my mum even verifies for it and said, when she first arrived here, when her dad would have arrived here, which was my granddad, there were only two types of people living in England. He was either an English person or he was a so-called Carib person. There was no other ethnic groups of people.
Damn.
So yeah, you walked out in the street, you was only going to see either your kinfolk or an English person, and that was it. Everybody else came about 20, 30 years later once all the hard work had been done and we kind of paved the way.
And
So
that's exactly what a lot of disruption. It was either what was it, earlier this year or late last year, they were saying something about how it was something that was supposed to be going on with exactly what you was talking about, dealing with how the Caribs that was they took over, that built up all that stuff, as far as the economy and everything, but yet they gave it the credit to, it wasn't the Caribs, put it like that. They try to give
that
credit.
sounds about right.
That's it was something like
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, when we first arrived there, we were doing the backbone jobs of the nation. The, 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 the nursing jobs. Our women did the nursing jobs. Our men did the industrial type jobs, like the bus driving jobs. A lot of us went and fought in both world wars as well. So we were really putting in work, like as soon as from the moment we got here. And yeah, when we first got here, we were very close knit because obviously as soon as we got here, we were public enemy number one. And that meant that we had to really tribe up and be for each other and have each other's backs because there was a lot of sentiment towards us being here. Still is now to some effects. And then the police were like the biggest gang going. I mean, they still are now. From the time we arrived, they were actively dealing in the mistreatment of us when we first got here, and they're still doing it now. And the only gangs that were existing at that time in England were the English people because they had gangs that was specifically targeting our people and running them down in the streets and, you know, beating them almost half to death. Yeah, it was crazy. They were the only gangsters at that time period. We were the workers that were, you know, trying to keep things afloat.
Right.
They were the original gangsters. I mean, we only became gangsters, you know, on the turn of things after, you know, we'd settled here more and we'd had time to become, you know, indoctrinated and, okay, well, you're black, so that means you're a gangster. And this is your lifestyle that you've got to live as a black person. And, you know, they award you your, you know, your character based on what they decide you are. And then obviously they program that into you. And then now you fast forward now, and now we're suddenly the face of, you know, crime. And but I mean, it wasn't always like that. It was a process. This was a gradual process.
So they
But
literally call y'all blacks instead of Caribs when they know y'all are.
actually, well, you know, I mean, if you're so-called Carib or African, you're just seen as black or sometimes black British or, but you know, they still, you know, on TV and in media still refer to us as West Indians sometimes as well. So they just like to deviate between all these different names that they've come up with. But you know, they've never called us African Caribbeans. I mean, they tried to do that, but no one really gravitated to the word. It's just kind of there in the background as a kind of, well, it was a failed attempt, but they try and bring it out every now and again for academic purposes. But I mean, it's not something they really heavily stand on. And I mean, the census that or any paperwork that you fill out here in the black section, it will always have, you know, are you black African or are you black Caribbean? Or are you black other? If you see yourself as a black other group, you know, there's no just one inclusive group where black is black and that's it. So they're even showing you there, like there's a clear difference between the two of you because they could have really just put you all into one bracket. I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged thing they're doing because they're trying to put you in one bracket by saying black, but then they're still differentiating in there, you know. So that's the biggest clue. You know, if you were the same people, they want to do that.
Mm.
You know, you would just have one racial category that fits all, you know, one size fits all kind of thing.
That's right.
So I point that out to people as well. So I'm like, okay, so, you know, if this is true, which box do you tick as your ethnicity when it comes to paperwork? And then they say, oh, black Caribbean. I'm like, well, why did you do that? You know, if what they say is true, then you are an African who was misplaced in the Caribbean. So shouldn't you be ticking the African box?
Right.
And then they say to me, oh, no, I'm Caribbean. I'm like, well, you can't be, you know, two people can't fit in one body. You were only given one body at birth, so which one are you going to have?
That's
But
it.
I use all of these examples to try and just get people thinking about stuff in just, you know, general chit-chat conversations that I might have with people. They're stuck on certain things. But yeah, as for me, I just kept going forward, started reaching out to lots of people over your side, where you're at. And I started slowly finding people that are located over here. Because at first, I didn't think I was going to find anybody living over here with me. But I was patient. And then I came across Copper Fox, the Zan. She's probably the first person I spoke to over here properly. I just happened to meet her through a DMX live stream. And then she must have phoned me afterwards. So we were talking for a good minute or so. Right, just about this, that, and everything. And then after a while, we came across Gambler, and then he came on board. And then I came across Sword, and then he came on board. And then fast forward now, and then at the turn of this year, yeah, the group was pretty much sorted, and we had like a nice little group of people that are over this side who are, you know, very passionate about information and want to do better with it. And just being able to just build with them, just, you know, after a long day at work and just share information and just have laughs and, yeah, just kind of evoking that kind of old energy of just, you know, being about enlightenment and just, you know, enjoying the moment. And because obviously we were doing all of these things, you know, we were lazing about, we were having jokes, we were around the fire, we were exchanging, you know, ancient information. And that's kind of what the group does now. We just try to embody that every day that we have, you know, this time that we've got on this realm. So I've been able to learn a lot of things through them, and then they've really pushed me on to have a channel now where I'm actually just here and just putting forward information that I've come across either personally or that has come to my attention through another good source. And yeah, same for Lacono as well. Like we had a lot of encouragement from the group and from other people outside the group to actually come on this YouTube and this whole YouTube game and start making content and start putting stuff out there. And so it's been a nice journey for us as well to actually have active channels, and we're trying to encourage the rest of the group to do the same and to start getting some content out there. But we enjoy the interaction with like other people out there who think the same way as us. Because I just challenge myself now every day. I try and ask myself difficult questions in pertaining to our history or just history in general.
Right.
That's usually a good starting point for me, and that can usually take me on a good tangent for upcoming shows and stuff like that. Like it's kind of like the whole hypothesis method. You go away, you develop your hypothesis, you test it, and then you bring your results. And it's kind of the same thing that I try and do for my shows. So I try and sit down and say, well, if they say this and this happened, then can I challenge that? And then I just be on Google, just typing in keywords and stuff like that. And if I catch an angle, then I just run with it, and then I see, can I build on that now? And this is a lot of ways how my shows come about, just from that, just always never being static, and just always challenge yourself every day. Always ask yourself something difficult of what you think and to see if you can improve on it.
That's right. That's how that's one of the great techniques to move forward and keep yourself sharp, man. And like I say, man, I appreciate what you have brought. Whether you known this information all your life or just in the past year or day, some people just have a vibration and an energy that know how to connect things and know how to bond with people. And these are the type of people that need to be, known to the world and to, our people, so we can connect, man. And I already discussed with you. I'm trying to put together trips and all. So, UK, we it's going down. You know what I'm saying? And of course, we gonna try to get y'all over here too. And of course, no one may know but us. But hey, it's going down. And hey, it's just about keeping it moving forward and progressing. Like you say, keep asking the questions that, like you say, need to be answered, but no one can really find an answer to. And this is what we've been doing. I'm pretty sure you, as a youngin, seeing all them different ventures, going to different countries and stuff like that, that you were able to witness and see the different ideology, cultures, and the way people are in general. You know what I'm saying? And I know that helped you to open your mind a lot more. And I know that's something that our people definitely have to do more of, and that's why I promote that also. So
Yeah, definitely, because even when I just sit down here, I just pay very close attention to how my people behave, in contrast to how the people behave who they say, I and my people allegedly descend from. And you won't see two more different birds in the sky. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just, there's too many differences to ignore, that you can't possibly ignore.
that's right.
It's just, it just comes down to everything: the music, the food, athletically, what we excel in compared to what the other might excel in or not excel in. There's just too many unique, separate qualities that don't correlate, and have no, cognitive qualities. And this also helped me as well, because I realized I wasn't maybe paying as much attention to my surroundings as I should be, and now I'm able to just quietly assess the world in front of me. Everybody's running around, going to work, going to the shops, going to wherever, and this is the best time to catch people in their natural element. And you will learn. I tell people, before you even pick up a book, before you listen to a live stream or read a John Ogilvy book, you can literally sit on a park bench and close your mouth and say nothing and do nothing and watch the world go by, and you will quickly find out who you're related to and who you're not.
That's right, man. And I'm proud to say, man, I already know spiritually, and on a mental level, because of course we never met physically, but I already know, man, you fam. And everybody else that's with you too, Lason, DJ Gambler, Lacono, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, man. We all fam in here, man. So
Yeah,
it's really just keeping it like that. You know what I'm saying? All this
yeah,
territorial static, when it come down to it, that's only for when you got to deal with your area and your individuals. But when we all come together, we got to all bring it together. And this is what it's about, man. So,
yeah. And I know we spoke about it before this call even happened, and it's literally people have to understand that it's a case of you wasn't beaten or defeated by a master or a master, as they tell you. You was out tricked by an opportunist. There's a big difference, you know. They clearly couldn't beat you in speed. They couldn't beat you in physical prowess, so they had to beat you in the mind.
that's right.
And by beating you in the mind meant, they had to go to the drawing board. Well, what is the makeup of all indigenous people on every landmass? They are very territorial and very tribal. They have no continental affinities whatsoever. I mean, you go to Australia, you can go to Africa, you can go to Melanesia. No one identifies under a singular body or a continental concept. You know, continental theories or ideologies are, a modern European invention from the 1600s. So continents as an idea haven't even really been around that long. Um, so they knew that by giving you a continental identity, they're actually damaging you, they're hurting you,
Right.
because they know that goes against the code of being a natural firstborn person to the planet. So then they say, okay, this is Africa, and now they can use, the concept of skin to now tie every indigenous person to there. And now, you're damaging a whole realm of people, and now that's where opportunity sinks in. Well, I can tell this tribe that, oh, well, if you don't like that tribe, I can give you 50 guns and some tobacco, and I'll help you get rid of them. And then after you've helped them get rid of them, then they slaughter you. They take your
Right.
land. They take the land you just helped them take. They move further inward. So they're just getting further and further to the middle. And now, by the time they've reached the middle, now they've decimated most of you. And now, all of a sudden, it's not Indian country or America. Now it's America, and they're Americans. And on top of that, now they're whites. Now they're Brits. They're Europeans. They're Jews. They're Africans. They're Jesus. They're all of these things. But you can only come from one place now. Because remember, they say to you that, if we were all the same, the world would be such a boring place. But then they turn around and say, well, we are from all these places, but you're
Right.
African. And that's the
Yeah.
irony. They tell you that, the world would be such a boring place if we was all the same. And it's like, okay, so I'm not the same as the next man over there. Clearly you came here and you met me already. Like, stop playing games. You know who I am. And they're like, no, no, no. We're all of these things, but you're African now. That's it. Like, it's not up for debate.
That's right.
This is what people need to understand. It's nothing for these people to switch a name of a land and just accredit a people to it in the
Exactly.
hopes of getting rid of their understanding of who they are. They're doing worse things than that. So people can't get caught up on names and semantics. Like, they've been conquered that concept already.
That's it, man. You just broke down the game that they use and still using to this day, man. And now they got our own people, some of our own people, using it against us, man. And this is what's I say, man. It's a done deal with that though, because we really just tearing all that apart. I mean, I really haven't pretty much seen a rebuttal on anything yet. Now I'm seeing I'm seeing channels, people talking about why you don't want to be African.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. If I was, I rep that. But
Yeah,
even if I
this is
had,
it, exactly right. Like, this is what we're saying. It's like, look, if we were genuinely from there, like, that's the whole point. We genuinely, with all our heart, felt we were from there. So we made our whole lives about that, and people can't deny that we didn't do that because we're still doing it today. So obviously, for us to come away from that can't be a thing of self-hatred. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we found something that contradicts the status quo of things. So it's, it's almost 2019. If people are still talking these things, then either A, you're still not paying close enough attention, or B, you're working against us just like we experienced before.
Exactly.
The same Indians that sold out for an umbrella and a pair of shoes. Same thing.
That's right, man.
But it's funny because we don't really get any knowledge of American history whatsoever over here. You literally go through the schooling system learning predominantly about whitewashed Europe. You learn about the pale kings and queens, and they're not telling you that around good 1600s the royalty would have still looked like me and you.
That's right.
So they don't even tell you, like, obviously they're not going to. It doesn't fit their agenda to tell you these things, and this should be something else that people should be able to pick up on. If you was really African, why would they give that information to you for free of charge, and you didn't even have to ask for it?
Exactly.
Why would why would a predominantly Ashkenazi film Hollywood industry, why would they spend millions upon billions of dollars to make films to help you understand who you are, and not teach about their own people and the Holocaust and their history? What kind of man does that?
Exactly, man. that's game at its fullest.
I mean, Jacob, if I want to keep you under my boot, the last thing I've got to do is give you free information to help you understand who you are. So one day you could just whoop me and put me like this. That would be bad war tactics.
Yeah, we just gonna take over, but then we're gonna give you everything you need just to get it back.
It's insane. So this information that's come forward is not well spoken of. So that should be a clue in itself. That something's not right. That something must be wrong. Something must be terribly wrong. Because, like I said, you didn't have to ask for this. You didn't have to go to any of your family and say, okay, so which Ashanti village did they snatch us from? They're giving that to you free of charge. You didn't even have to ask for it.
That's right.
And you can't live life by juxtapositions. You can't complain that these people don't have your best interests at heart, but you think that somehow they're going to give you gems and drops. It doesn't compute. The same way how you can't say ancestry DNA is 100% kosher, but these people have infiltrated all industries and corporations in modern society. Is ancestry DNA not a modern corporation in modern society? So have they not infiltrated that as well?
Right, man. Because, and big up to Phoenix Moon. I know she was just allowing someone who was in the field of DNA studies to speak. But I think people got to realize, this is someone who is, technically still active and under, the institution or the indoctrination of, modern day science. So she really believes she think it's okay to take a DNA test pretty much, and she was promoting for 23andMe. And I was trying to ask some questions, I called a few times, whatever, but I kind of felt like I wasn't gonna get no. I felt like I wasn't gonna get in anyway, but I just wanted to ask her, well, what is DNA actually going to do for us by taking this test when doing our paperwork, or just the fact that we already know, period. We pretty much broke down the fact that it's not even accurate, and she was kind of promoting it on the sense that since there's a loophole that they've allowed for people to know, that you should go ahead and do 23andMe. And I'm like, well, that's, for people who really already know what DNA is really about, I think we should, I think we could kind of look over that to actually see what she was saying because she did give a good breakdown. But
Yeah,
I think,
it's interesting. It's
yeah,
interesting.
it was interesting with the teeth and stuff. Yeah.
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 And yeah, that whole DNA thing, because I knew at some point I wanted to get into DNA. And I went away and put the show together. And yeah, like the council, they never know what my shows are going to be about. It's always a surprise of the day when I go live. So they're literally experiencing it along with the rest of you guys. But one thing I did present, I can show you guys now, is an actual study. I mean, the people that watched that episode, they will have seen this already, but I know some of your peeps might not have. There's a paper on the genetic makeup of the Andaman Islanders, and it just blows the whole DNA thing, just the Africa thing out of the water. You know? I'm gonna bring it up now.
All right. Go ahead. I'm gonna mute my mic.
All right. So let me go to the screenshot.
Yeah, because this was like, I kind of felt like, she made good points, you know what I'm saying? But it's still a lot of people who don't really know about the DNA technology, you know what I'm saying? Because these DNA companies still allow pharmaceutical companies to receive your information after you give your DNA up, man. It's in the fine print, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, I made a comment in the chat, and I was like, well, I don't want nobody to just do whatever with my information. And I heard her made a comment and say, well, they already got your DNA. And I'm like, well, so what's that about?
I did hear that as well. A lot of people have said that as well. That okay, if you was born in the hospital or you went to hospital, they've got it already. But it's still kind of besides the point now.
Right. I mean, that doesn't mean I'm supposed to let you give it to whoever you want to give it to. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Even if you do, I don't know that anyway. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So what kind of answer was that? She lost me then. You know what I'm saying? But I know she gotta defend her doctrine, and she probably under some oath as a doctor or whatever, so she can't exactly speak against the medical CDC or whatever you want to call the crap. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, we just got to make sure we pay attention when we actually listening to people. But I know our people already kind of was on that. But I just had to throw that out there. But go ahead, bro. I ain't want to cut you off.
All right. So yeah. So am I sharing my screen at the moment?
Yeah, I got it on yours now. Yeah.
All right. So basically, yeah. I mean, most people probably already know what the Andaman Island people look like. So here they are. And basically, what I found just through digging around, I actually came across this. This is the genetic origins of the Andaman Islanders, and this is the U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institutes of Health. This was published online 2002, December 11th. Okay, so the abstract says mitochondrial sequences were retrieved from museum specimens of the enigmatic Andaman Islanders to analyze their evolutionary history. So D-loop and protein coding data reveal that phenotypic similarities with African pygmoid groups are convergent. Genetic and epigenetic data are interpreted as favoring the long-term isolation of the Andamanese extensive population substructure and or two temporally distinct settlements. An early colonization featured populations bearing mitochondrial DNA lineage M2, and this lineage is hypothesized to represent the phylogenetic signal of an early southern movement of humans through Asia. So the results demonstrate that Victorian anthropological collections can be used to study extinct or seriously admixed populations to provide new data about early human origins. So I'm going to go to the interesting part, which sticks out. That was from. Okay, so and we get to this bit now. And then it goes on to say, so the protein coding region sequences produce clear results with no ambiguities and showed that all 12 specimens possessed 10400T and 10398G, placing them in the Asian M haplogroup and ruling out an African origin. So again, they said these people, they took their DNA,
Okay, then.
done it, tested it, then they said, they said these people have
You
the
might have
Asian
to
M
read that
haplogroup.
again. You might have to read that one again.
Yeah, so they
Time,
said
bro.
the protein coding region sequences produced clear results with no ambiguity, so there was no confusion about what they found, and showed that all 12 specimens of the Adamese people they're talking about possessed 10400T and 10398G, placing them in the Asian M haplogroup and ruling out an African origin. So they're saying they've done DNA testing on these people and found that they're not from Africa. They've done this already.
And you know what? And I was telling people, man, I still haven't found my book, but I know it was Yoruba culture and history and language. And it was telling you how most of the Northwest Africans and Northern Africans are from Asia.
Okay.
Word, man. And it said Asia, Arabia, and Saudi Arabia, in those areas. That's what that book was telling me.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's where they come from. It's true. Because people have to understand, you know, they're not spitting in test tubes to find out where they specifically came from in the world. That's done through oral, you know, legacies.
That's crazy, man.
That is a trait of indigenous existence, you know. The oral passing on of the people's story, you know, that's what indigenous people do. They don't spit in tubes to verify things.
And you just proved basically through their own DNA little sequence there that these people and in that group in the in that area were from the haplogroup of Asia.
Yep.
I mean, that's just it just confirms more of everything because they're actually trying to go back to the outer Asia theory supposedly right now in modern science. So I mean this is man, I don't and see that's why I say, man, we gotta pay attention. Our people, we gotta make sure we pay attention to information and really don't settle for we got to know who's speaking, what they representing, and what they stand for, and go from there. You can't take all information as heavyweight or as solid information because they may be affiliated or associated with somebody. And I'm glad you put that out there like that. That was a tomahawk.
Bro, you can't believe how lucky I felt when I found that. I was like, no way is it's just sitting up on the internet like that. But it just goes to show, like, I tell people, look, if I could do this stuff, I mean, I'm not no one's teacher, I'm not nobody's scholar, I'm not anybody's, master priest or nothing like that. I'm just somebody that just decided that I care enough to just, challenge myself over.
Yeah.
And like it's not that deep. Like, I'm not, I'm just not that kind of guy. Like I'm just a regular guy like the rest of you who has internet and Wi-Fi, to put it bluntly.
Dang.
So, any one of us can do this, man. This is it seems daunting at first when you first come across this stuff, but
right.
you just have to dedicate yourself to it, and it becomes easier. It just becomes so easy after a while.
That's right. It made too much sense after a while. It's like why you got to make sure you travel and keep yourself attached to to some type of grounding on earth. You know what I'm saying? Because this information can pretty much take you away from the way of the world. You know what I'm saying? And it's good to stay in touch with each other, keep each other motivated and uplifted, like I say, it's better when you can really share it and make it easier for your household because it keeps you, so your head won't be in the clouds. This for all the people who, you know, who so open that they just soaking in, still enjoy yourself and still do what you do, man, because you're gonna miss out on a lot, you know, not doing that. And you gotta
Yeah,
keep this fun. But this is just to show everybody that we ain't the only ones that's been oppressed, man. And it's not all about just us. We may be finding a lot of root bases, here in America, but we gotta really learn how to connect and learn each other's, psychology so we can
yeah.
unify the correct way, man. So
Yeah, the key is just not always taking things within a literal context, because the same way you can't just take the name of a landmass today as the gospel, can't take the people you meet on a landmass as gospel.
that's
When
right.
you've done enough, when you've been around information long enough and you've soaked it up, like a sponge, then you'll quickly start to see that that applies to people. Just because you see somebody in a place that is being called today Africa, it doesn't even necessarily mean they're from the Eastern Hemisphere in origin, because we now know that there are people in Africa who are from the West and they're still there today. And they've gone as far as to award themselves very specific names for their people to, distinctly cut themselves away from the indigenous to show that they still held on to that understanding of being from the West. Like you've got the Americo-Liberians. I mean, why would they call themselves that if they were really Africans?
That's right.
And then you've got the Creole people of Sierra Leone. I mean, we know that Creole is the word that was created by the so-called Negroes. So again, why would they call themselves the Creole people and be Africans? These are things you just can't overlook. You just can't.
That's right, man. And I'm glad you said that because some people probably didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? And this is what it's about, man. And hell, if you want to, man, you can uh get into your ecology if you want, man. If you had anything,
Why not?
because I know that's part of your expertise, man. If you can kind of, I guess share some of that what you did see in Africa as far as how the land was, and
Yeah,
even how y'all land is over there.
yeah.
Just anywhere you been, man. You already know. Let's get it, man.
All right. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I did notice that when I did spend time in both North Africa and West Africa, it's a very different terrain compared to when I've gone back home to visit Yamaka, for example. Yamaka is very plush, typically very picturesque, very tropical, lots of green, lots of, vegetation and things growing, very mountainous, and there's lots going on. But in so-called Africa, whether it's north or west, the land is very sparse. And again, this led me down a road of my second episode where I was chatting about food of the world and where does it all really come from. And I was even getting into African agriculture and how it's critically analyzed today. And they will even tell you today that agriculture in Africa is still very primitive in the year 2018. It's not at a very advanced level compared to the Americas, for example. It just doesn't compare. So straight away, a person who's thinking in the right way could say, if 600 out of 640 crops that are found in that so-called place called Africa today wasn't autonomous to those people and their land, life could definitely 100% not have started there, because that meant that man would have died and starved to death within 5 minutes, and none of us would be here today to be talking on Hangouts. You know, and just the fact that because the land is not as productive and fertile as the Americas as well. Again, if we'd all started off there with dead land and only 8% crops to play around with, we would have starved to death a long time ago. Nobody would be here right now.
Now that's major, man.
You know, obviously life would have had to have started where all the vegetation was, where the food was. You
That's
can't
right.
there'd be no way you manifest here and have nothing to eat. That would, you know, that's just, creation doesn't work like that.
That's right.
Existence doesn't work like that.
That's right, man. And that's just like how you said. You know, you can either kind of, you know, some of these. If you look at an updated ecology, you know, landscape, you know, map or whatever, you can kind of tell because you know they give you the oxygen levels or the density of the forests and stuff like that, and it's pretty obvious, you know, the oxygen, the density of the oxygen in Africa is mostly coming from South Africa.
Yeah.
And then, but you look at the Americas, you got, of course, uh, now a lot of the density is coming from the jungles of the Guatemala, but it's density everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's heavy oxygen almost everywhere. It's just a few areas that's, you know, like New Mexico and stuff like that, Arizona or whatever, and a little bit of Mexico where you have some dry areas. But even then, you know, we still had irrigation systems in those areas. We still had plants that was, you know, here. And I know you're gonna get into that, man. So I ain't gonna, yeah.
So yeah, me and Jackie were talking about 2 nights ago, and we were talking a little bit about plants and whatnot. So again, I like a challenge. I like going away and looking at new stuff, and it actually led me to a website that I'm gonna show you guys right now. I'm just gonna go into the screen share. So it actually led me to this website, desertusa.com, and on here they actually they talk to you in detail about all the different wildflowers, cactus and succulents, trees, shrubs and grasses that are found within the desert regions of North America. And it actually tells you how, you know, the American Indians were using some of these as well, which I wasn't expected to find. So again, this was a nice little thing right here. So I just pulled up a few examples just to go over. So for example, here you've got the California fan palm. So now it's going to tell you for the range. It occurs naturally in desert oases in isolated areas of the Sonoran and Mojave deserts of southeastern California, southwestern Arizona, and northern, is that Baja, California, Mexico, at elevations between 500 and 1,000 feet. So widely cultivated as an ornamental in Southern California. And then the habitat, it says moist soils along alkaline streams and in mountain canyons. I want to show you like how it was used. Here we go. So let me blow this up a little bit. So it's a bit small. Here we go. So the California fan palm was an important resource for the Cahula Indians of Southern California, who called it Mao. They used it for food, especially the fruit nuts, which they ground up as a flour or made into a mush. They also soaked the fruits to produce a sweet beverage and made jelly from the fruit. Trees produced a dozen or so such date clusters at 5 to 20 pounds each. So they were getting jelly from this the same way you get jelly from coconut in the Americas, you know, same principle. The spongy pith in the center was sometimes boiled and eaten and was called malpasan, or heart of the palm. The fan palm was also used for construction, fronds for roof thatch, and leaves were stripped and used in various weaving applications. So the hard seeds that fell after fruit pulp dried were the preferred fill for gourd rattles and were better than stones or other seeds. The desert Cahula also preferred the fan palm for making sandals. So fire-making tools as well as tinder were made from this palm. So the original California fan palm oases were important gathering and habitation sites and were indicative of important springs. So usually located along earthquake faults. And some of these included Thousand Palms, Palm Canyon, and Andreas Canyon. And then if we go on to this one now. So this is the mesquite tree. And too quickly. So during the inevitable droughts and deprivations of desert frontier days, mesquite trees served up the primary food source for caravans and settlers. So the mesquite beans became manna from heaven for the suffering men of the 1841 Texas Santa Fe expedition, said George W. Kendall in his journal. When our provisions and coffee ran out, the men ate mesquite beans in immense quantities and roasted or boiled them. So during the Civil War, when groceries often ran short, mesquite beans served as passable coffee. So mesquite blooms pollinated by bees yield a connoisseur's honey. Mesquite is the most common shrub, small tree of the desert southwest. Like many members of the legume family, mesquite restores nitrogen to the soil. There are 3 common species of mesquite. You've got the honey mesquite, you've got the screw bean mesquite, and then you've got the velvet mesquite. And then again, if I go to the uses now, okay, so mesquite beans, durable enough for years of storage, became the livestock feed of choice when pasture land and grasses failed due to drought or overgrazing. They were carried by early freighters who fed the beans to their draft animals, especially in Mexico. Although often crooked in shape, mesquite tree branches, stable and durable, filled the need for wood during the construction of Spanish missions, colonial haciendas, ranch houses, and fencing. Its wood served artisans in the crafting of furniture, flooring, paneling, and sculpture. Of the tree mesquite, said Dobie, there is one kind of yellowish wood and another of a deep reddish hue, as beautiful when polished as the richest mahogany. So in some areas, mesquites provide a bountiful harvest of wood for use in fireplaces and barbecue grills. So the mesquites, requiring little water and only low maintenance, have found a place in southwest xeriscaped gardens and parks. They not only produce beans and blooms that attract wildlife, they provide perches and nesting sites for birds, including hummingbirds. So I didn't even know you guys had hummingbirds out there, so that's something new for me as well. In the frontier days, according to Dobie, mesquites were used by the Indians and the settlers as a source of many remedies for a host of ailments. Indians and settlers believed tea made from the mesquite root or bark cured diarrhea. Boiled mesquite roots yielded a soothing balm that cured colic and healed flesh wounds. So mesquite leaves crushed and mixed with water and urine cured headaches. Mesquite gum preparation soothed ailing eyes, eased the sore throat, cleared up dysentery, and relieved headaches. Then, yeah, so this is the next one now. Okay, so this is greasewood. So greasewood is also known as black greasewood or chico wood. So sacrobactus is from the Greek sarco, meaning flesh, and bactus meaning bramble or thorn, referring to the succulent leaves and spiny branches of the plant. The family name, Chenopodacea, I think it is, translates to goosefoot, referring to some members of this family's leaf shape, which resembles the foot of a goose. So greasewood was first collected by John C. Fremont, a famous Civil War veteran, Western explorer, and one-time presidential candidate, and first named by John Torrey as Fremontia vermiculatus, until it was discovered that the genus Sarcobacter already existed. So then if I go to how it was used.
This is major, man, because you know these are plants that are in desert areas. So
yeah, any of you guys that are living in these type of regions, like I don't know, New Mexico or places like that, then this is your joint right here. So man used tough wood for firewood or for tools if a straight enough stem could be found. The Hopi made planting sticks from straight stems, and then the Indians ate the seeds and succulent leaves. Like many members of the gooseback family, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, greasewood plants have a somewhat salty flavor. So livestock utilize greasewood for winter and early spring browse. Some wildlife species such as jackrabbits, pronghorns, or prairie dogs forage on the plant. The kit foxes plug up escape holes of rodents that are buried below the greasewood plant, then proceed to dig out the rodent. Greasewood seeds germinate only in cool temperatures. This ensures that the seeds get established before the heat of summer. So greasewood grows in very alkaline soils. High in chloride soils, its leaves are smaller and thicker in size. The greasewood may have long root systems that can reach down or with feet to groundwater. The next one I wanted to show you guys was the Rio Grande cottonwood. So the Rio Grande cottonwood is also popularly known as the Fremont cottonwood. So it looks like the same guy named this as well. He did. Common cottonwood, valley cottonwood, marsh cottonwood, alamo, and alamilo. So its scientific name reflects its membership in the poplar family, which includes the poplars, the aspens, and other cottonwood species. So like many southwestern plants, its scientific name also bears the stamp of John C. Fremont, the famed 19th century pathfinder of the West. So as usual, they come and see your stuff, and then all of a sudden, they got their name on it. So let's go and I'll show you how this is used. There we go. So, yeah. So surprisingly, the Rio Grande cottonwood, the water tree, has found a home in south central New Mexico's White Sands National Monument, an environment too harsh for 75% of the plants from the surrounding Chihuahuan Desert. In this area of little annual rainfall, blistering summer heat, relentless spring winds, impoverished soil, and eastward marching sand dunes, the Rio Grande cottonwood has eked out a tortured existence by capturing and securing soil in the interdune flats and extending roots to a relatively shallow water table. So the Rio Grande cottonwood's affinity for water became a metaphor for southwestern Pueblo's reliance on water. So Pueblo carvers shaped the tree's roots, the conduit to water, into kachina dolls, spiritual icons of the deeply religious agricultural peoples of an arid land. So originally, carvers took the roots from trees which had been undercut and swept down rivers and streams by floodwaters. Today, as the cottonwoods and riparian forests vanished, carvers must often buy their wood, frequently at exorbitant prices. So the Rio Grande cottonwood's disappearance from the banks of southwestern streams and rivers can now be regarded as a metaphor for our relentless abuse of the environment of the desert southwest. So again, I'll just show you a quick picture of what the Hopi were using the wood for as well when they were talking about the dolls, because I've seen these dolls before. So these are called kachina dolls.
And that's major, man. Like, yo, I hope, if anybody is taking notes, I'm be glad you're doing it. And for those who didn't, trying to kind of go back and make sure you get those plants, because you never know where you might go and be able to see these type trees and plants and maybe get you a little piece of it or something.
Yeah, definitely. So they were using the wood, as you can hear from all of these plants. The people are very resourceful, and they were using the Rio Grande cottonwood to even make these, which I think these are really beautiful. And they were making these out of the leftovers as well.
That's major.
Yeah. So even again, when I found that out, I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. Because again, I've seen pictures of these dolls, but I never knew they were made what they were specifically crafted for. So that was good to find out as well. This brings me on to the fringed onion, which looks like this. It's a lilac-y purple color, or lavender, some might say. So for this part here, so common perennial bulb or herb that is native to California and is found only slightly beyond California borders. So the plant has a heavy onion smell and was used by Indians for food. This example was found in great profusion on the gravelly and sandy flats in creosote bush scrub of Highway 395 on Highway Power Plant Road, Kern County, California. Okay, so that's the fringed onion. Now, here we have the barrel cactus, which is this one here. I'm sure everybody's seen this one at least once or twice before. So, feral cactus, meaning fierce or wild cactus, are always cylindrical or barrel-shaped and are usually among the largest cacti of the North American deserts. All members of this genus have prominent ribs and are fiercely armed with heavy spines. In some species, one or more central spines are curved like a fishhook, accounting for the common name fishhook barrel cactus. The barrel cactus flowers always grow at the top of the plant. They bear no spines and only a few scales. Fruits become fleshy and often juicy when mature, but are not usually considered edible. So the Indians boiled young flowers in water to eat like cabbage and mashed older boiled flowers for a drink. They also used the cactus as a cooking pot by cutting off the top, scooping out the pulp, and inserting hot stones together with food. The spines were used as needles, as awls, and in tattooing. So that's where you get your tattoos from. The pulp of barrel cactus has been widely used for making cactus candy, thus one of its common names, candy barrel cactus, but this has also accounted for its destruction and therefore protected status in many areas. In an emergency, the pulp of the stem can be chewed for its food and water content, but obvious care must be taken during such an operation. The taste can vary greatly depending on species. So the Indians refer to all species of barrel cactus as bisnaga, and bisnaga. So there are a number of species of this genus, most of which grow in central Mexico and Baja, California. 4 species are recognized growing in the deserts of the American Southwest. So again, that was the barrel cactus. So it's edible and it can be used to actually cook other food as well. So again, it comes with many uses. Then this last one here that I pulled up that was of interest. This is the century plant. So this unique native plant has a tall, thin stalk from 10 to 14 feet high that grows from a thick basal rosette of grey-green leaves. The leaves are 10 to 18 inches long with long, sharp terminal spines and shorter spines along the edges. The stalk can be up to 4 inches in diameter. So members of the Amaryllis family, century plants take many years to flower, although not a century. The century plant provided the Indians with a source of soap, food, fiber, medicine, and weapons. So Agave americana can grow up to 40 feet high with much longer leaves and larger stalk. This American century plant is sometimes grown in Southern California as an ornamental. So it is used commercially in Mexico as a source to produce the liquors tequila, pulque, and mezcal. So this is an ingredient in your tequila shots. This is inside it, this plant right here. Yeah, just to go back to the first page, I came across with this. So you guys can go to desertsusa.com and then you can go to the desert plant section. And then here you've got your subcategories. You've got wildflowers, you've got cactus and succulents, and you've got your trees, shrubs, and grasses. There's like I'll click on that. It takes me down to here. And then let's say I want desert lavender, I just click on that. And then yeah, it'll break it down. It'll tell me about what family it belongs to, how it grows, what it was used for, and so forth.
Now that was just, I mean, that was alright there, man, because like you say, to know the usage of these plants and to know that okay, we even got plants growing in the desert. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I ever too much seen different types of plants when they show the Sahara or anything like that. Not to be going against like I'm trying to down that or nothing, but I'm just saying, you know, like we you know,
Right. For clarity. Yeah.
yeah, you know.
No, what you're saying is true. Is true. There's not a great deal of desert vegetation. I mean, I might build on this later on and see if I can find, more varied species of vegetation in the African desert compared to America. But I don't even think I'd have to really research it for too long, more than 5 minutes, because when I was out there, of course they've got the palm trees out there. Because I've been across the Sahara Desert on camelback when I was out in Chalisco, and I don't remember seeing any great vegetation diversity on that camel trek. Nothing that you would find in the Americas. So that's even to show you as well, even your desert terrain is not the same as theirs. It's just two completely different worlds. So, two completely different people. The people are a reflection of the environment. The same way that you have two different types of deserts, you have two different types of melanated people. Like nature literally is trying to show you every day that there are differences, in all of us.
That's right, man. And that's what ecology shows. And I think that's why a lot of mainstream scientists and people who want to control the narrative, they really stay away from that. You know what I'm saying? They don't They'll rather take it to a religious ideology before they actually look at the land and look at what's actually taking place as far as, on an environmental level. You know what I'm saying? And you got, you might catch like the History Channel or National Geographic, but you're not gonna see it in a sense where, okay, uh, it's more going on over here than over there, because the narrative that they give you, you already conditioned. Most of the time they showing you something in Africa or something anyway. But lately I've been catching some American history and geographical studies on TV, for some odd reason. But
Yeah,
usually they give you a lot of African stuff, man. And this just goes to show, even with the evolution thing, if it was more based off ecology, what I'm saying, the study of the plants and the environment, really taking it geographically on that level, then stuff is a lot more clear. But when you tie institutionalized doctrinations and you want to mix in your religious views, it really takes away from how we can just simply identify what's taking place. So
yeah, and I mean, I mean, I can speak for the council where it's like this is really, interesting, and it's really enjoyable and exciting for us to just be able to just delve through all of this stuff, because, like I said, the information of the Americas here is very limited. I mean, you've probably come across this image, and most people in the chat have the emblem of America, the copper-colored woman with the bow
yeah,
and arrow and the sandals. That I just found out recently, that picture is in the British Library electronic archive. So they've always known, and of course they would. Like, why wouldn't they? Because the British were one of the first to heavily go over into the Americas. But I mean, if you grew up and lived here, you'd think that wasn't the case, because they never speak about the Americas here. It's almost like they never went, and that's the name of the game. The people don't talk about the Americas, but we have to remember their elites brainwash their people as well to forget things. So most people here just think, oh, an Indian, and they think of a plains Mongol. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you know stuff, then you know stuff. Like the tobacco store Indians, they were first used in England in the 19th century, because basically the English were very illiterate even as far back as then. So that lets you know, they couldn't have been these overpowerful slave masters if they couldn't read and write properly still, as soon as the 19th century, which wasn't that long ago. And they needed the cigar store Indians so that people could navigate, their day-to-day lives properly. So they knew that if they saw an Indian outside the store, they knew that's where they get tobacco from. If they
right,
saw that little swiveling pylon thing, the red and white thing, they know that's where I go to get my hair cut. Like, these were things that were actively having to be put into their society to compensate for their lack of, linguistic comprehension. So, so I just find it funny that there was once a point in time where I would have, if I was here, if I jumped in a DeLorean and went back in time, these people would have had our people, statues of our people outside every tobacco shop, and now all of that's gone, and it's like it almost never existed here.
mm. And that's,
And
that's
yeah,
deep,
it's like
man.
literally my only experience of American Indians was my granddad, my paternal granddad, because my dad's family are from St. Lucia, like another island, much smaller than Yamakran. Whenever I was sick from school, I always used to get dropped off there to stay with him and my grandmother, and he was always in his favorite armchair watching John Wayne and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And, and again, it's like, why would an African be so interested in the Wild West?
right. That's right, man.
I never understood. Like, I always think to myself, why is Granddad watching these boring westerns for? Why does he like that? Because as a child, I didn't really understand. But that was his thing. He loved westerns, and naturally, now I know why. But yeah, and then obviously that was my first interaction with seeing a so-called Indian, a Plains Mongol. And even as young as I was then, the first thing I always asked myself was, "Oh, why do they look like Asian people?" But you don't expand on these thoughts because the other things that are being shoved in front of you. But that's literally the first thing I thought when I saw them. I was like, these people look Asian. Why are they American? But they're Asian, which is very, as a child, it's just, I find your child years are your best years for comprehension because it's sad to say, but children are outdoing us in terms of the comprehension levels,
Right.
Because I work in a school, the teaching assistant. So obviously there's every different so-called nationality and ethnicity of children in the school. And one of them, it was a girl to class I was in last year. She's from Nigeria. So she said to me, "Oh, sir, where are you from?" So I told her where I was from. And then she said, "Oh, I thought you was from Nigeria." And I said, "Oh, really? Why is that?" And she said, "I don't know." And I was like, "Okay, well, put it this way. Is there anybody in your family who looks like me?" So she thought about it, and then she answered. She said, "Oh, no, sir, there isn't." So I said, "Okay, well, then that means I'm not from Nigeria, isn't it?" So then she nodded her head and she said, "Yes." So then I said, it's as simple as that, 1, 2, 3.
Just as simple as that. You know what I'm saying?
And
Because
them times as well, that particular time, I still had my hair out. I hadn't started braiding it because it was still a little bit short. And another boy came into the conversation, and I kid you not, he said, "Oh, sir doesn't look like you. He looks like Michael Jackson. He has an afro. He doesn't look like you." And this is why I love children. This is why I love working with children, because they're just intelligent beings. They're not stupid. Like, you can't pull game on them.
right, they got a lot to block their own intuition.
Yeah, and so it does amuse me that children can they can understand this very well when you put it within a suitable context for them to understand. But
That's right.
I've seen plenty of adults that are still struggling over simple things like a color where you can literally look in the mirror tonight and you're brown, but you're gonna fight so hard to not be that. And children children understand their primary and secondary colors better than you. Like, it's not acceptable. Do you know what
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm saying?
And then not only that, but take something that doesn't even apply on a lawful level and make it spiritual. Like to go by black, on a personal private level, I can understand wanting power as far as being unity or
Yeah,
having unity with that. But when you speaking to any other ethnic group or any foreign opposition, you got to state who you are correctly. And calling yourself black when you know you're not black and you don't look black. I happen to be dark myself, but I'm not black. I'm
yeah,
like
it's crazy.
I'm like the old penny more so you know what I'm saying? It still ain't black. Now there might be a little, some smudge on it or something, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't tar black, you know what I'm saying? But we just, it's you can't turn something like that publicly spiritual, but you can keep it, privately spiritual amongst you and your peers. And I think that's just something that a lot of those people who want to identify as that, because I identified as that myself too, because I didn't always know who I was. And
Yeah,
that's why I can understand it. But when you get down to the get down and what you really want to stand for, you got to really, people need to know that that is not a term that is going to represent you at all. So,
yeah, exactly. But you have two eyes and two ears for a reason, and you can look at the you can look at the darkest so-called African person and the darkest American person. It doesn't matter if it's north, south, or central, and they're still not the same shade of brown, and neither of them look black still at the darkest tint within their respected ethnic group.
that's right.
So the signs are always there around us. Like, you have to embrace the clear cut signs that are around you. If you wish to progress and do better, you must be an open canvas all the time, every day. you can't be an open canvas one day, but you want to cherry pick on Friday. It doesn't really work like that. You have to go the whole way.
Exactly, man.
You can't be like, oh well, you know, I'm the first man and woman, but I'm black. You know, you just got rid of, you know, the first thing you said, because that's what these things are designed to do. Like
That's
terms
right.
like black and African, and they're designed to scrub out whatever you attach them to as a prefix. As soon as you put black or African onto anything as a prefix, you are decimating whatever comes after the word.
That's
So
right.
you can't say, "Oh, I'm a black Indian." Okay, well, now you're just black now, because they're just going to say, "Okay, well, you're just an Indian that came by way of Africa." See,
Yeah,
so now the Indian aspect of that black Indian word is gone.
that's right, man. And I totally agree, man. That's why, you know, it's just some things we gotta just make sure we stay intact with and keep pushing forward, man, because our children have to know this type of information because I mean it'll only be useless for them to fall right back into, you know, saying that they're black. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's just not that's not gonna be a good look for us to be utilizing our times, you know, building and spreading this info, and our children get old enough to take care of themselves and telling everybody that they're black. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I know you, me, you know, Shy, AP, Corey Mayo, you know, A1, and your crew, Lacono, Lasun, DJ Gambler. We're not finna go out like that.
not this team, man.
Hey, that'll be so embarrassing. Like, you know,
No, I
hey,
shout out to the council, man, because
yeah, I'm talking about if one of my children do it, y'all gonna see us in a boxing match to goddamn to prove what needs to be done. You're not gonna embarrass me like that. Ain't
because
no way.
we have to start, you know, every day just making things known. Because I tell you what, though, I'll give you a joke. Like, I actually purchased a Redskins um drafter hat, like winter hat, because it's cold out here at the moment, and I bought one online. Gambler let me use his eBay account, so respect to Gambler for that. And I'm wearing it. I've been wearing it all this week. And one of the parents there, he has a boy in my class, and this boy is his mother is European from Poland, and his father is, you know, allegedly American. By when I say American, I mean you know, a European who came into America and then became an American. So he still has the accent, and he saw my hat. He was on a school trip, and then he said, "Oh, on Tuesday was on a school trip," and then he said, "Oh, are you a Redskins fan?" So I just lied and said, "Yeah." And, and he said, "Oh, yeah, I grew up as a Redskins fan." And then I said, "Okay, that's great." And then he said, "Oh, yeah." And then he kind of had a pause, and he said, "Oh, but the logo's kind of racist, though." So I just played dumb and said, "Oh, really? Why is that?" And he said, "Oh, well, there's a big thing going on in North America right now with the Redskins logo. Is apparently meant to be very offensive to Native people because of the word Redskin." So I said, "That's really interesting, you know, because back home where I come from, people call each other red all the time, every day. Red man, red woman, red boy, or red gal, you know.
Right.
Red just means brown because red is brown and brown is red. So, you know, essentially, if you're brown, you are red."
That's
And
right.
then he just kind of just, you know, said, "Oh, yeah, I think it's something to do with the indigenous people. I don't know." And then he just kind of left the conversation alone. But that's how you have to be. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't be
Right.
giving people passes, because they'll just play on what they think you don't know or what you don't understand. And sometimes these people don't understand as well. And it's not just people within your own so-called species of people. I'm talking about everyone's been lied to. So we need clarity, you know. You just have to be active every day with it. And just if people slip up, you have to hold them accountable for it. Be like, okay, well, that's not entirely true because of so on and so on.
That's right. That's exactly right, man.
This is what we just try to do now as a council. We just try to be very active when we're out and about and just try and just make people know what's what now. Shout out to Chief Inca, to the Kona, because he recently just got back from Yamaka himself. He was out there for 2 weeks, and he made his own T-shirts to take out there, showing the Carib Indians and stuff like that. And yeah, he was tearing it up, man. Yeah.
Word. Shout out Lacono, man. That's what's up. Hey, y'all, hey, man, I don't care, man. Hey, real recognize real, man. That's a thorough brother right there, dog. You hear me? That brother that ain't playing no games.
I'll tell you,
Hey,
T-shirt game was strong, bro.
I'm telling you, man. Hey, man, this is what it's about, man. Hey, I mean, and I did want you to at least hit on resourceful because I didn't want to hold you too long, man. I know you got stuff you got to do and stuff, but I did want you to just touch on that, and we can even do a part 2, man, if you want, man.
Yeah,
So
why
you
not?
can hit on some of the other stuff that we came up with, and just kind of ended up with the you know, uh question and answer, maybe just from the viewers or something, man, on the next one, man, so we can get a little bit more interaction because we pretty much just held it down, man, and it was a great build, man. But if you would kind of touch on that, man, and I, like I say, I don't want to hold you up. We can always do a part 2 if you want, or if you just want to kind of just, man, we can make this just a little, try to, something that we could just keep up. Like I say, one day we get me, you, Corey Mayo, Lacono, Lasan, and probably a few more people on my end, or who all we can get, man, and really put together a nice show, man. Get Gamla to have some music, you know what I'm saying? We can put some stuff together, man. And I'm really trying to keep it going to where we, connected with more and more people, man, across the land. So, if you don't mind, man, just hanging with me, man, and just stick with us, bro. So, but yeah, touch on whatever you need, man. Before
Just before I get into that, Lacona just asked, like, do you want to come on Lacona Corner tonight? Because we're going to be streaming from his channel after this.
Sure, man. Just send me the link.
I'll you the when he sets up the panel, I'll hit you the panel link on Hangouts.
Yeah, just do that because if anything, I'll be able to jump in on my phone or something like that and just be able to chop it up. And because I know I'm gonna be out for a little bit, but other than that,
nice.
we definitely can do it. And if they want to come on the panel next time, just to fill out the show, because I know you really wanted to kind of touch on trees and pretty much that's because I really wanted you to get on that too, but we could definitely do that, man, and just get them.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll definitely do that. We'll bring a few more faces on, definitely.
Yeah.
So my part in peace will be from this book, Betrayal of the Buffalo Ranch by Sarah Sue Hockletop. And this is a very short passage. There was one I wanted to get for you guys, but it won't let me open it up in the preview properly. So I'll rock with this one. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, that was it. Refresh. There we go. Okay. So as he drove out of the Buffalo Ranch, Lance let his truck slow to a stop so he could appreciate the grandeur of several bison and a calf grazing in the distance. So Lance thought the magnificent animals embodied the struggle for survival of all American Indians. So the people had used every inch of the buffalo for something, from the hide, the meat, and the bones to the hair, the horns, and the innards. When Indians harvested a buffalo, absolutely nothing went to waste. So in fact, what the Indians were actually doing, they were using the buffalo to make glue, to make hair extensions, making all kind of things. I will get a proper plug for you guys next time round. But there's one more book I'm going to show you guys, which is this one. It's just a little passage from here. So this is Slavery and the Evolution of Cherokee Society, 1540 to 1866 by Vida Perdue. And then here It says, at first, the Cherokees bought only a few kinds of goods from the white traders. The Cherokees certainly did not require the tools of the white man to exist, for the Indians' knowledge of and ability to exploit their environment enabled them to live comfortably in a land where vast technological superiority did not permit the Europeans to escape a hard struggle for survival. James Adair noted the red man's remarkable adaptability. If an Indian were driven out into the extensive woods with only a knife and a tomahawk, or even a small hatchet, it is not to be doubted he would fatten even where a wolf would starve. He would soon collect fire by rubbing two dry pieces of wood together, make a bark hut, earthen vessels, and a bow and arrows. Then kill wild game, fish freshwater tortoises, gather plentiful variety of vegetables, and live in affluence. So again, just to show you that, they're saying, where the typical, creature of the wild would perish if the Indian was put in the same situation as the wolf, the Indian would prevail and come out, unscathed, because they were in tune with their environment. Everything had a role to play as something for the Indians' benefit, because they are the environment and the environment is them, and that's the same for the people. But the people just don't realize that. Obviously, if you live in apartment blocks and you're looking at skyscrapers, or you've been physically removed off the land now, and you're living in a foreign place now, then you're going to lose that connection as each generation goes by. The further you're away from home, the harder it's going to get, for you to really have that connection. But,
That's right. That's right.
That's what I find personally. I think it's done a lot for our people psychologically, being here like 3-4 generations now, and we're spending more and more time disconnected physically from the land, and I think it does play a huge role in identity. I think when you're physically attached to the land, I think it does something to you. Like, I can't explain it, but when you're not, and your feet are rooted on a foreign land, you have no relation to it, and it's like you're forcing your soul and your natural energy to try and be a part of it. And I think that's why our people are so erratic over here right now, which is very misguided, and you still don't have a clear direction of what we're meant to be doing.
And that's deep, man, because it's for your people, you know what I'm saying? It is a actual situation of actual serving to actually, not necessarily like you serving under some type of master and that, but y'all really, your grandpops really had to get on the grind and provide a way, man. And leaving for the people here in Americas, a lot of us was literally detached mentally. You know what I'm saying? But you and the people over there in the UK, a lot of y'all, that are from the Caribs or just from the Americas period, actually got it done physically and mentally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and this is another reason why, we just gonna keep it going, because we definitely gonna put together a panel to show the difference between colonized victims who are of mixed ethnic groups, and then the ones who are victims of war. See what I'm saying? And it's a major difference, because our people, it's one of the ways we lost our ways of being resourceful. You know what I'm saying? Not being able to link completely what has taken place, as far as because it was certain people, that who may not have been the original look, but did no particular resourceful ways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's like, just because they may be mixed, or you know basically victims of war or indentured servitude, because a lot of people, even back in the early and late 1700s were being charged for having children under wedlock, and
Right.
and it was going down a lot with the mulatto case. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure it's probably the same thing in the UK. You know what I'm saying? Just as far as like how things had to go, as far as working and dealing with certain people. You know what I'm saying? I know it's probably more of a segregated deal because, like you say, really a lot of integration didn't come in until what you was like the late, probably what maybe round
60.
90, yeah, 60s or something. You know,
So, you
so
know, we had a period where for at least 20 to 30 years, we was just, you know, we were just, it was just us and ourselves and the people that brought us here. And yeah, we had that kind of isolation period, but now, you know, everything is very heavily integrated. In London, you don't really have that segregational kind of communities as far as, you know, a city like London goes, or any of the major cities like Birmingham or Manchester. Um, the further north you go, is more the English faces rather than your own, and your numbers will start to dip a little bit. But I mean, you'd have to go really out to mainly the outskirts of England, and that's where you'll predominantly not see, you know, your copper-colored people really, you know, unless they're, you know, the sellouts or whatever we want to call them, the lost wayward ones. But yeah, so London is a very mixed, very mixed society of different people and cultures across the whole city.
and yeah, and like I say, this is just one of those kind of like a Mandela effect or whatever, and it just goes to show, man. I mean, if you could be way in the UK and learn how to study, being resourceful, you know, uh, looking at the earth and environment, you know what I'm saying, and to actually get the attention of the Americas and to see how many different variations and styles and stuff like that. If I would have been anywhere else, if I would have been in the UK, I'd probably doing the same thing you doing myself, just because the information is really is that vast when it comes to the Americas. And it's just good to know that, it's people like us everywhere, man, that really do care to be resourceful and do care to, see how people grow the right way, man. And I just want to say I appreciate that, man. And appreciate you spending this time, man. And anything else you want to kind of lead out with and share before we close out, man.
Yeah, just to say thank you to Jaguar for getting me on here. Because we've been definitely planning this one for a little while now, so it feels good to finally have it over the line. So I really enjoyed this stream, and thank you to everybody that came out on the stream as well to just hear me out, and that's love, that's appreciation, and obviously can't leave without saying big up the council, Gabler, Kodo, Don, Sword, DR, Takara, Kita. I might miss nobody out, but if I did, yeah, respect to the council, man, and yeah, just respect to everybody from America, man. If you love America and you know that you're from America, man, it's all good, man.
That's right, man. And shout out to everybody, man, that came through, checked us out. You know, we gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it flowing. We still got plenty more to release. You're gonna see me more interactive with Copper Hot and the council, and he's gonna be interacting more with me and the rest of the fam over here. Because we gotta unite this thing and make it as one, and we're gonna keep it going, y'all. So hang with us, bear with us. Part two will hopefully probably be soon. I'm gonna probably jump in on the Konos channel a little later. So make sure y'all send me that invite, and y'all shout out to everybody that came through, man. Take a look at the chat right quick. Yeah, man. Chelsea Smith. Shout out to you, Supreme. DJ Gamala, what up, King? Aboriginal Truth, you already know, bro. LaSun, Peace Supreme. Keisha Murphy, Priest, Peace. FRZ in the building. What's going down, man? Star Strike. Peace, King. Rainstorm always coming through, man. Salute to you, Rainstorm. And Wanagi came through. Shout out to Wanagi, man. And Petu Waste. I mean, Knock Lab. Shout out to you, King. Hit me up, man. Get with me, Big Bro Joe 47. Shout out to David Cluis. You know what I'm saying? Yo, if I missed anybody, man. Oh, Big Bro Carl. Peace. Peace. Mr. Dark Bro. What's going down, man? Y'all already know. The Big Bros is in the house. And yeah, man, let's keep it going, y'all, man. I appreciate everybody coming out, man. Stay tuned to Copper Hot Step. Subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to everybody in the chat, man. Bump it, man. It's about uniting and sticking together. Hey, everybody in the chat gonna give you that heat or gonna lead you to a better cause. I already know. It's all fam, man. So yeah, man. Shout out to you, Copper Hot, man. We're gonna keep it going, man. Make sure you send me that link too, bro.
Oh, definitely. As soon as he plugs me the link, you'll be straight in, bro.
All right, man. So peace, y'all, man. We'll be back. Peace, strength and progression, fam.